What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? I'm Mr. Rad, and I'm building the best rotary engine street car on the planet, which is an RX8 with an FD RX7 engine and a giant turbo. And what we've got to do today is connect the turbo to the engine, in addition to create this lovely trombone of stainless steel to bring the most beautiful turbo rotary noises to your guys' ears. So let's get to welding our tubes together and getting a turbo kit built for my REW swapped RX8. So before I jump right into fitting tubes together on the side of this engine, let's give you all a brief overview of what this is. If this is your first time on the channel, go subscribe. If it's your first time seeing this swap done, you're gonna wanna stay tuned to see what happens with this thing, because we're gonna make some jam in a real comfortable chassis. So in the last video, we accomplished a ton, which was the turbo's location. We did all of the sheet metal work to hide the radiator, to relocate the electronic power steering unit, doing some wiring. Got to give Tuned by Sean a huge thank you for helping out with setting up the Haltech ECU to interface with the stock RX-8 so that our gauges work, ABS works, traction control, cruise control, all that stuff will run through the Haltech in the car. Factory buttons. It's so sick. Go check it out. Tuned by Sean. In addition, Mr. Rad 5 gets you a discount. So we got all that sorted. I went ahead and also built the intercooler mount, a new crash bar. All of the intercooler piping is effectively done aside from this little section right here, which I'm waiting for the coupler to make this turn, and then we'll connect that to the coupler. A few other outstanding items are the fuel system will get its own dedicated video. We have some super rad stuff for the fuel system from JDL Manufacturing. Here, let me just give you all a sneak peek. Bringing in a lot of good people on this build, and I have to give them the thanks they deserve. So Jorge over at JDL Manufacturing makes these super trick twin pump setups for the RX-8s. You know, we want to make close to 600 horsepower in this deal. We're going to need all the fuel, okay? In addition to full function engineering, which will be in the fuel system video, and also full function engineering in the wiring video, and Tuned by Sean in the wiring video. So there's a lot of people coming together to help me on this, and I have to give them a mad shout out. In addition to, in this video, you're gonna see my buddy Jacob, which, let's just say, awesome dude, and you guys are gonna love him. So, without further ado, the turbo kit portion of this to get started. I've got the turbo fixtured in the car, meaning there is a bracket that bolts to the oil drain, there's this bracket that bolts to the oil feed, and it is holding the turbo where I want it. Down under the turbo is a really nice billet stainless T4 flange to 2.2-inch, and I've already got the flange on the side of the engine down there. This is not some weird hybrid rotary engine like what you've seen me mess with for my RX-8 swapped FD RX7. This is just your standard 2-rotor, 2-exhaust port rotary engine. So this should be a very basic and very simple turbo kit. There's just a few obstacles that are in the way. So with this thing up in the air, I can show you these obstacles. It's gonna be very hard for y'all to see, and I will do my best to put you in interesting places under my car. Here we have a normal 13B stainless flange cut for Schedule 10 tubing, which is what we're gonna use. Super thick stuff, which I'll show you in a second. Both of these have to go that way, and they have to go to that super trick square into round billet stainless manifold. I know I just said manifold, but it's just the T4 flange with two 2-inch Schedule 10-ish sized circles. So you can see the obstacles really are only the oil metering pump. I've got that flange below the frame rail. We have tons of space in here. One thing to consider is our wastegate as well while we're doing this. So I'm imagining the wastegate is actually gonna go towards the back, and it's probably gonna chill down in here like a standard rotary setup, or maybe out into that fender well. I may put the wastegate over here if possible, I don't know. I like to have my wastegates in a location where you can easily remove them, and the vacuum lines to run the wastegate are at no risk of melting, pinning the wastegate shut and blowing up my REW engine, because unlike all these completely expendable RX-8s that I've been working on, if I blow up an REW engine, well, let's just say we might have to sell something to rebuild it, because REW engines are super expensive. And, you know, I've got a new one under the shelf over there, but we might just sell that to fix up, you know, another one. I have some spare stuff, but not enough not enough to completely write this deal off. So we've got to make sure our wastegate is in a good spot to handle all of that, right? Which is a perfect segue into the materials that we're going to be using to build this turbo kit. Starting with the wastegate. This is a Turbo Smart 50 millimeter wastegate, the ProGate 50. Standard, air actuated, not an E-gate, not one of the valve gates. Old school tech right here with new school flow, all right? I like the single wastegate mentality for the simple reason of it's simple. There's one of these. Now we have to connect both rotors to this wastegate, which is why I have this assortment of Schedule 10 stainless. So if you don't know what Schedule 10 means, basically Schedule 10 is like your city water pipe sizing, okay? So like Schedule 40 pipe, its nominal size is different from your standard, like this is 3.5 inch 14 gauge tubing, not pipe, okay? So pipe sizing's different. The easiest way to do it is like when it comes to schedules, the schedule, the different number is kind of your thickness, and then the size of it is actually the inner diameter, not the outer diameter, versus this 3.5 is actually the outer diameter, and then the 16 gauge is just the wall thickness. So kind of a different thing, but Schedule 10 is super thick, all right? Very, very thick material. And the reason that we need super thick material, basically double the thickness of the downpipe material, is that this turbo is heavy. It hangs way off the front of the engine. In addition to, rotaries get super, super hot. And if you tend to build your turbo manifolds out of cheap stainless, like I did on my FD, you have a very high likelihood of it cracking. So this stuff should hold up to our goal, which is a cannonball run. We need to be able to drive this thing 6,000 miles and not have my turbo manifold just like melt apart. So I have some assorted bins, different sizes. The wastegate itself, there'll be two, small 1.5 inch runners that come off to collect to one 2-inch runner that then goes into the wastegate. The downpipe and the full exhaust system with mufflers, okay, I've got two vibrant mufflers we're gonna install, a resonator and a muffler, will all be 3.5 inch stainless under the car. Okay, so that's the bigger stuff you see over here, a couple V-bands so we can have a mid-pipe, some stainless exhaust hangers, which we'll probably just use the factory locations for the RX8, and then this tube right here is not Schedule 10, but this will connect to the dump side of the wastegate, and then I have this little bellow that is going to allow me to recirculate my wastegate back into the exhaust under the car, because I don't like the screamer pipe sound. So that's the gist of what we're doing. Let's get to, effectively, my childhood Lego experience of assembling pieces and parts together to make all sorts of cool sheds for my model cars. We're gonna take these, and I'm gonna ichrometer all this stuff together, and we'll find a way to affix it, and we're gonna build some sort of a turbo kit. I don't have those fancy snap-on bendy doohickeys, but I've got, like I said, I got a well-calibrated ichrometer. We can make this happen. And then when Jacob gets here, he's gonna lay down the dimes to TIG weld this stuff. So hopefully y'all can see what's going on. I'll do my best to show you. This Schedule 10 stainless is probably one of the hardest materials to work with, or at least this is the first time I've ever worked with it. It's thick, it's heavy, and no matter how much tape I put on it, it doesn't stick. So I've had to MIG tack this together as I go, but effectively, use your brain, cut some pieces, fit some pieces, make sure it doesn't touch things that you don't want to melt, and you'll end up with something like this. I've got the rear runner built. So from the turbo flange, the T4, all the way down to the rear rotor. The front rotor, I've got it started, but there is going to be just a slight variation in length because of the distance. Obviously the turbo is here and the rear rotor is further back. So hopefully the variation in length therein isn't going to necessarily, affect the performance, right? Like I've seen on other really short manifolds, you might have, the rear rotor distance travels up, the front rotor is right there, it's a real short deal, and then it goes right into the turbo, and you'll see probably some varying time of the pulses to get to the turbo that changes how it spools and the performance and all the science and stuff. We don't really need to get into that, but for packaging, this is kind of what I've got to work with, especially running a 2-inch Schedule 10 runner. So looking at where this downpipe's gonna go, it's tight. All right, I'm not too worried about the AC line, but this brake line right here, I already bent it and moved it around the upper intake manifold back there, so I have some extra space. And then it's just gonna be tight. I'd like to almost touch or be very close to this upper runner. So, you know, I want to fit a 3.5-inch downpipe in there. I've already got my reducer right here from 4-inch to 3.5, and then I have some assorted bends to try. So like I have a tight radius 45 degree here, which doesn't entirely, you know, just fit, but basically we're going to be looking at something like that. So I am going to cheat, and I don't have pie cuts, so like that double weld right there, that big gap, what I'm going to do is cut this at a little bit of an angle to like kick it over some, and then maybe cut some of that reducer at an angle. Anytime you cut a circle off center, you now have an ellipse or an oval and not a perfect circle. So I want to limit the size of that oval such that the fit up is still perfect. Jacob will be stoked if, as a welder, all of my gaps look like this, where there's no gap. We're shooting for no gaps. So let's build a downpipe, and then I'll raise the car up once I need to be under the car and show you the manifold from the bottom. Letty, are you about fed up with cutting metal? So I've been working on this wastegate location. I got the downpipe mostly in there. And the reason for getting the downpipe in before the wastegate is mainly because the downpipe has to fit and the wastegate has to fit. So here you can see downpipe, 3.5-inch, all the way up there to the back of the turbo. I don't know if you saw it from the top, but here. Comment below if you could actually see that. I'll know when I edit it, but downpipe is in, clears the manifold, clears the frame rail, real close to a brake line. We'll solve that later. You can see this brake line right here. The only place that this wastegate is gonna work well is to go right here, okay? Probably at a little bit of an angle. Get my hands right. Something like this is what I'm thinking, okay? Honestly, like in the frame rail, right? And you can kind of see from here where I'm at. The biggest clearance issue is with this right here. See, the outlet of the wastegate is pointing up. That's gonna turn towards you, come down here, and probably merge into the downpipe at this bend. So right on the back side of this, where it's nice and flowy, all the flow can go out. We're not connecting to a factory RX8 exhaust, and I'm gonna be building an entire new 3.5-inch exhaust all the way back with some sick, big ol' vibrant mufflers. So this is a vibrant 3.5-inch resonator for under the car, and then this is the most engineered unboxing section of this whole entire series. Sweet unboxing, one-handed, holding the camera. And then this is my muffler, which is gonna go at the back. So I value like a good, crisp, but yet deep throaty tone. Deep, just low. I don't like the high-pitched squealy stuff. Like the gnarly NA, you know, shrieky, like unless you're a 4-rotor or even like an unequal length header 3-rotor. Mazay's 5-rotor. He's got mufflers though in a turbo. I don't know. I've just kind of gotten like grown out of the loud 2-rotor phase. So, because I was in a Bridgeport full gnarly for a while, but this should be really quiet, especially with the turbo. You know, come back here, the muffler's are gonna live at an angle. I like the passenger side exhaust just because it keeps it, you know, away from oncoming traffic. But then when you do a flyby with somebody and they're on the side of the road, they get all the sound. So definitely 3.5-inch dolphin tip, just a single exit coming out over here eventually. But that stuff we'll have to build when Cartmill gets here because I can't hold everything up. So, in the news of cutting more tubes, I engineered some sort of a wastegate collector, and it is going to be very hard for me to show you this on the car because it's dark, there's a brake caliper, and then I'm going to keep banging my head on stuff. So I'm kind of just going to explain this to you, at least what it looks like here, and then I'll tack it together and get it on the car, and then you can see what it looks like once the wastegate's kind of in its location. So basically I took 2 of these. These are like a 1.5 inch long radius, 90 degree. You can see the evidence here. Probably honestly I could have just started with a shorter one. Either way, I coped the ends of them to match the runners of the manifold and then brought them together as quickly as possible. All right, mainly just space constraints. All of this was done by hand, okay? I haven't found, and I just don't do this enough, the benefit of like buying all these super sick 3D printed things that make, you know, coping edges like perfect, and you can just take a pipe like this, a tubes, and just, you know, you run the 3D thing and it's like, it just goes right on there, right? Now, like I've seen Motion Raceworks makes a really sweet cast piece that sits on a 2.5, 3.5 inch pipe, and you just weld the perimeter of it. Now that is trick, especially if you have like, you know, an up pipe or whatever for your manifolds, like 4 inch on a big block Chevy, and then you're just like, whoop-ah, put your wastegate exit right here. Super simple, right? But for me, we're tucking this thing in an RX8 and it's tight. I started with 2 of those, finagled them together. My gaps are super tight. And then I needed to turn this into a circular piece to go into the bottom of the wastegate, right? Like that. 2.5 inches, 1 2 inch. So I used some paper and marked it out, just like basically I made a piece of paper and started this way and started marking it. And then I just made this piece by hand. So now you can see here, I have a 2 into 1, like super short runner merge. Okay. Now I need to pinch this down in the vise to thin it up because obviously it's too tall. And then when this goes on the car, you'll see the gate flange will go on here. This doesn't get welded directly to it, but there's a flange that goes on here. So right now, I've actually got this a little too long. I'm gonna pinch it together and then tack it on here so that it's fixed, because what's gonna happen is as I start cutting this and then start repositioning it on the car, it's gonna start moving, and then my cuts are gonna be different, and I can honestly maybe like kick it like that, and then I gotta redo the cope. So right now I got the coping fitted really nicely. We're gonna clamp that down, finish the coping, and then I will trim this edge and put, is it this one? Oh, that's the fire ring. This one. Nope, that's the exit. 3rd time's a charm. This one. Yeah. Come on. I can do this by hand. Oh, I can't do this by hand. Is that what this hole is? Will this hole undo that? Nope. I need a tool. All right, so we pop this little V-band off, and we have the wastegate flange. I believe this fire ring should go in here. Yep. And then this piece goes on there. That will click down once I V-band that together. Or will this, can I get it started? Oh yeah. Okay, the V-band will pull it down. Sweet, I don't have to manhandle that. Fine motor control, guys. Play some video games, get really good at doing things with your hands. Race car driver stuff. Okay, clamp that down. I should just have a wrench for this. Looks like a 10 mil. I bet the 10 millimeters are already out. Maybe it's not. Clamped. This will fit onto here. And the schedule 10, so 2 inch schedule 10. The inner diameter is 2 inch. This is a 50 millimeter wastegate, which is set up for a 2 inch inlet. But if you're using, so like I said at the beginning of the video, 2 inch 14 gauge tubing, not pipe, this fits perfectly into here. Like perfect, because this gate was machined for this size, not necessarily machined for schedule 10 pipe. So this is kind of a butt fitting right here. And I'm gonna cheat it a little bit on an angle just because I kind of have to, and then we should be good. The nice part about this TurboSmart gate, one, it's water cooled, which is a huge win. Okay, and 2, the wastegate ports come out the sides, so you don't have to have like a nipple sticking off the top or a 90-degree thing up here. I really like that for packaging. These are just not sponsored thing, not at all, but this is like top of the line wastegate, and I don't really want to blow up my $5,000 engine, so we're gonna use the quality stuff. But just like I explained, I'm gonna get to work, get all this stuff ground up, fitted, tacked, clamped, crimped, put on the car, wastegate trimmed, fitted. It's probably gonna look something about like this. Whoop-ha. It's like a little dude. Got his legs and his head. Smiley face. All right. Cutting and welding. So after spending a bunch of time sticking all this stuff together, Cartmill showed up and was ready to jump on the TIG torch. I had a few aluminum projects for him to tidy up, shaving some vacuum ports on the upper intake manifold, welding up the water neck, getting the intercooler pipe situated, and while he was doing all of that, and I was keeping his block of aluminum from falling off while we tacked stuff, I went ahead and got started building the 3.5-inch exhaust for the back of this car. So during the day, I got the front section, and then I came back later after Cartmill went to bed and busted out the whole tailpipe section, including fitting this super sick 3.5-inch dolphin tip, which is just a 45 or a 90-degree bend cut to look sick. But it looks so good. I'm so happy with the fit up, and honestly, having Cartmill here to give me some tips and tricks on how to make this was super helpful and definitely improved the end result. Gosh dang, am I proud of this exhaust. And I can't wait for Cartmill to see the thing finished. So Cartmill is already here today, which is then going to be the next day when I show him this, because I tend to work super late and he's at home, you know, getting a good night's sleep because he's got a bunch of TIG welding to do tomorrow. So y'all will see him in just a second. But I came back and I worked late this evening, and I got the rest of the stainless done for the 3.5-inch exhaust on the car, and I'm like blown away that I could even fit this in here. But also, this is really like a first for me, doing a super high quality, the nicest stainless I can get, like proper 14 gauge, the whole deal, 3.5, you know, and having it professionally TIG welded. And this is sick. So let me show you up close, walk you through it. Up here, we've got downpipe with the bellow, a little bit of spacer there. I think I'm going to make a little fixture to hold the downpipe fixed right here, but I haven't decided yet. I do still need to finish my wastegate recirc, but I was waiting on another V-band because the wastegate recirc does like this 180, and the downpipe would be impossible to remove if it had the 180 without an extra brake. So there's going to be a V-band here so that you can take the downpipe off. V-band, I had to kind of cheat a little bit here to get the angle, you know, we cheated a little bit, no big deal. Nice vibrant resonator, 3.5. Check out this little tab here, is just holding this up because it's all tacked together, but look at this nice bend, hugging the trans tunnel, leaving tons of room to be able to remove the power plant frame and service your car without taking the exhaust off. Nice stainless hanger, keep coming back. I put this kick in the pipe right here, or I guess, what am I even saying? I put this kick in the tubes, such that I could have a V-band and remove my muffler or put a straight pipe on it if I wanted to be a delinquent, you name it. It's nice to have a mid pipe and then a muffler section, like to keep two things separate. So V-band here, but I had to kick it over so I could clear the V-band on the diff and then hit this nice big 90 back to the vibrant muffler. And I am so stoked. This is the big one, but drum roll please. My favorite style of exhaust tip, and boy does it look so good, I'm so proud. Check this dolphin tail out. Gosh dang, it looks so good. Nice and cut with the edge. Super clean. Ready to add some more soot to my bumper, because this car was a single exit, you know, like super lightweight exhaust for a long time at the racetrack. It's just perfect. My lights are kind of blowing out the camera, but you all get the gist. I will lower it down and put one of my fancy wheels on this because this looks so good. I just love it. I got to get a hanger back here, so I think this might cheat up just a bit if I raise that up. But gosh dang, let's just Oh, it's so hard to just get a good feel for that. The camera just doesn't do it any justice. It fills out the hole very nicely. It's not perfectly straight back, because I did perfectly straight back on Buzz, like double barrels perfectly straight. And it's a little funky looking, you know, but this 3.5, even over the 3-inch, just fills this hole out so much better. Man, that tubes is nice. Gosh, I just love it. Oh, this is going to be sick whenever it's like 600 horsepower, E85, blue flames coming out of this, full on Fast and Furious. Skyline had blue flames, and the pink S2000 had pink flames, and the orange Toyota Supra or gold had gold flames. And then the little red RX7, which I don't remember. I think it's a whole different car. I read somewhere that the RX7 from Too Fast, Too Furious was actually the same RX7 from Fast and Furious 1, just like redone. I could be wrong. Comment below. I really thought it was different, but who knows? The weird guy that, like, you know, doesn't jump the bridge and all that stuff. I mean, if I was driving that RX7, we'd have sent it off the bridge. It'd have full on Dukes of Hazzard landed, and then it would have looked just like my one over here that is bent in the middle, because RX7s just aren't that stiff. But back to this. Gosh, it looks so good. Dang, it looks good, and I'm just so happy. It's like, now that I got the nice stainless exhaust, we got the engine in there, it's great. So tomorrow, in about 42.867 seconds for you guys, you're going to meet Cartmill. He's an awesome dude. I can't thank him enough for coming up here to help me, and I can't wait to get his reaction to the rest of that exhaust, because it's just, I think he's going to be stoked. I don't know. It's super clean. Cartmill likes clean stuff. The fit up's super tight. And check this out. Just look how tight that is. No gaps, no gaps, no gaps, no gaps, no gaps. Now the MIG welds are gonna annoy Cartmill Super Pro TIG welder, but we'll deal with that. That's okay. This still, I gotta tack yet, but I wanna build the hanger first, get that right. And just love it. Let's get some sleep. Come back, 0.25 seconds. So Cartmill's here now, everybody. This is Sir Jacob Cartmill, and he was checking out my sweet condenser with all my mud dauber nests in here and my safety wired brackets. But the real reason we're here is we're gonna look at this exhaust, because he gets to TIG weld all of this. So last night y'all saw I was geeking out. We got this whole thing done. It's been 1.2 seconds for you. And what do you think, sir?
I mean, it looks good and it looks impressive.
I'm real stoked to that.
However,
my fit up, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, the fit up looks good. You MIG tacked all of it.
Yeah.
So I'll smooth those down when we weld over it, but that's not ideal. So but it looks good. It looks great.
Real quick though. Okay, so this might be getting into the weeds a little bit, but why, while we're talking about MIG tacks, is this bad for your TIG welder, like in short?
This is nice, new, clean stainless 304.
Yep.
It's been cut nicely and prepped cleanly. And then Eric shot it with a mild steel MIG welder and made a big spot to weld over. So we basically have to grind it down so there's none of this stuff.
Yeah.
And weld over it. It won't be that bad. The fit up is nice. It's tight. There's no gaps. It's going to weld and look nice. And the MIG tacking makes it way easier.
Yeah. The big thing is, like, if I had a TIG welder or was just a little bit more experienced with it, you could, I think you were talking about it, like you fuse weld it, right? Where you don't use a rod, you just tack the edges together. And when your fit up's really tight, you can do that. If you have a gap, you can't like fuse it because they don't touch, right? You're just gonna melt a bigger hole.
Yeah, it's usually considered cheating also, because you're not filling it. You're just melting the metal together.
To fuse weld?
Yeah.
Okay. But this is like my version of, unless I like taped all of this, and then it's so hard to get everything fitted. You know, this we can remove from the car, and it's not gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
You know, so the TIG welder, basically when it goes over the MIG welder, the MIG weld is just dirty, right?
Yeah, it's a different material. There's a lot about it.
Okay.
That's different. Yeah.
So it just kind of freaks out the TIG welder, I guess, a little bit, or it doesn't really look as clean.
In this situation, we can smooth them down, so it's almost not a factor.
Okay. Cool.
And that was why you're able to create it so quickly.
Yeah.
And efficiently.
It was funny. He went over to the house. We ate dinner or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna go back and finish the exhaust or make the reset
yeah,
or something.
sure.
1:30 a.m. I come back. He comes in this morning and looks at us like, oh my gosh, you built the whole thing. But I'm real happy with that. I still gotta do that recirc thing, but at least now we can put the hanger on the muffler section so it's in the right spot and fixed, and then I can take that off, the rear section, and then you can start on that. And then the mid pipe can come off, you know, because it's built. Yep. And while you're welding those, I can do this wastegate recirc. So,
yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. It's impressive.
I mean, it's great. Really like my first time.
This is a very good looking tacked up exhaust.
Thank you. I'm pumped. It's good to hear. It's my first time doing a turbo manifold that's like proper. Okay, not just me MIG welding a bunch of stuff that I like hammered the gap shut to fit. But this is like a real hard college try at making something nice. But I'm stoked. I'm pumped. So you can get a little bit close look, but we're gonna pull all this off of here and get this thing welded together. And we'll bring some TIG tips and tricks in as we go through this as well, because Carmel's got a lot of experience doing this, and I've learned a ton just in cutting, prepping, how to not contaminate the metal to get a cleaner weld. All that stuff I think is very important. It's just the little things that start to add up, you know, that make his life as a welder so much easier. And then also just such that he can deliver a real high quality product, you know, because most TIG welders are they want their stuff to look really nice. And
we'll be talking a lot more about that in your manifold video for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So when we get the manifold off, we'll definitely talk about that. But pumped. All right, let's remove this. More welding. So in order to finish weld all this out, we had to actually break some of this stuff apart, which allowed me to show you guys the wastegate priority of where the wastegate is actually relieving pressure from the turbo manifold. So notice me spraying the water in here. You can see the water that exits the wastegate hole is about equal to the water that is still staying in the runner to go to the turbo, which means our wastegate priority should be relatively efficient and we shouldn't have any boost creep issues, which we'll find out whenever we run this thing very soon.
Kind of bulge right there?
Yeah.
That's a full penetration, but that got too hot right here. Just a little.
Interesting.
So that's actually a pretty good result. There's no sugaring is the key.
Okay. Yeah, so we've been working through all the aluminum's basically done. Everything's tacked with the TIG. That's the downpipe for the FD. And then the downpipe for the RX8 is just about done. A couple of rings to finish up. And then I'm gonna verify, once this manifold's all stitched together, that the wastegate recirculation tube still fits, such that if I have to change it, that's the easiest thing for me to manipulate and change. So then I can modify that a little bit if need be, pull that back off, finish weld the recirc tube and the downpipe, then we'll be good to go. Lots of welding. It's exciting learning all this stuff, that's for sure. So TIG welding has always been one of those things I would love to learn it, but just never wanted to spend the time to try. So if you guys would be interested in seeing me try this, I would love to try to learn it and pick up a cheaper budget TIG welder, not to do production level stuff like what I've got Cartmill here to do, but just so that I could actually weld stuff on my own cars using real nice material. You know, up to this point I have just MIG welded everything, and there's a time and a place for both of these tools, and I think it might be time for me to upgrade a little bit. We're stepping up our car game, probably ought to step up our welding game. So Carmel spent a ton of time back purging, welding, cooling parts down, back purging, welding, cooling parts down. It takes a lot of effort to get these welds to look like the Instagram sexy welds you guys see. In addition to setup and prep, meaning how clean the parts are and setting them up in a fixture, or in our case, this vise, so that Cartmill can reach everything in order to weld it properly, which is something that you just really don't think about as an amateur welder or even an amateur fabricator, is the ability to construct the part, let alone just draw it in the computer. And you know, with 3D printing and stuff, we've kind of been a little spoiled these days, but back in the day, you just got to figure it out as you go. And Jeffy, the dog, he's just stoked, chilling in the chair. Laddie's chilling over there, and we're just watching Cartmill lay down some dimes. And it's just crazy to see it come together. I would bet total effort into this downpipe and wastegate everything, there's probably 15 hours of fab work just in cutting all the tubes. And then in addition, another 15 hours of welding for Cartmill. What do you think, Laddie? We got a whole bunch of welding done, huh? You tired?
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, it's been a long couple days, but we've officially finished 99.9% of the welding. We're going to do a little test fit up of the wastegate recirculation pipe here before we finish weld this, and also before I finish weld, or Cartmill finish welds, but I'll finish cutting the hole in the downpipe for the recirc. When you're doing all this stuff, as we'll talk about here in a second, it warps, it moves, things kind of change a little bit, and I'm a little bit worried that like where the wastegate exit here is gonna affect how this was made in the first place, which this is the easiest part of this whole situation for me to change. So, what do you think? 2-second recap before we go in detail.
It was cut with an abrasive wheel. We had to do a lot of cleanup and a lot of tack grinding, but it ended up pretty good. We got it back purged, no sugaring.
Yep.
And it looks good.
I'm like thoroughly impressed.
It's not perfect, it's good.
Prototype number 1, you know? So, we did do a pretty good job of mitigating the sugaring, which is basically whenever your weld interacts with oxygenated air, it will oxidize, right? And then having pure argon inside the tubes keeps that from happening. And that sugaring, as you were saying, will come off and can go through your turbo or through your engine or something like that. So it's relatively important to keep that at bay, but also for the strength of the weld, correct?
Yeah, and so I can show you here.
Yeah.
You can see, yeah, shine that, maybe like down. Yeah, so we didn't have the back purge running for that second ring there, and you can see a little bit of sugaring. It's not so bad.
So that's the black line. I'll put some text on the screen if I can.
Yeah, but not so bad, but that's not what you want. So that was a slight mistake, not a big deal. And you can see the other joints didn't get a full penetration, but there's no sugaring, which is the most important.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to tell. I guess like this is a different weld style because the flange is machined to accept the pipe, so we're not going to be able to weld like that part. But
yeah, so that was like a, 65 thousandths overlap within there because of the step.
Yep.
So we're not going to get a breakthrough there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like looking in here, there's like kind of see the level of discoloration to some extent in this weld. It's hard to see.
And if you can get straight in here and you can see that split.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there's no sugaring there at that joint, and those joints are real hot.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a good one there. You know,
Definitely.
and this is a prototype manifold. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, it's my first time ever working with this Schedule 10 stainless, and I think yours as well, really, right? Welding super, super thick material. And, I mean, for first shot, I'm pretty happy. Everything looks great. I mean, there's some, you know, like you were saying, some of these, you would want this to look super robotic and be perfect, but like we're working with, like, I probably had a MIG tack right there, which might have, you know, made the weld be a little weird, or like this section looks really good, you know?
Mostly the jaggedness is due to some gaps.
Okay.
And having to do a little weave and get back into the center, so it's not going to look as robotic.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
The crazy part was when we started putting this whole piece together, we did this, and then the wastegate section, welded that on. This leg right here was still attached to this flange, so we knew the location of this. Once we tacked that leg to the base, we had to fit this leg in here, and it was like 1/8 of an inch short on one end, or like 1/16 of an inch. So we had to do a little tweaking of some things to get it to actually fit. And I think, like, I've heard of people, you know, they account for that shrink and stretch or the warpage whenever they're making these. So definitely, like, on the next one, if we'd have left this just a smidge long, we could have, like, fit it perfectly at the end when the other leg was completely welded and had already done all of its warping, and then we'd have had a much, you know, tighter tolerance. It wasn't too loose where we couldn't fill it, but like he was saying, sometimes we did have, you know, a little bit of some daylight showing through. Yep. But overall, it was an insane learning experience just for me to see all this stuff come together, because I've been on the fence about not wanting to pay my tuition to learn how to TIG, meaning the like 150 hours and the money to buy a machine and like learn how to do it. And honestly, after seeing it get done, especially the aluminum, the thin stainless and the thick stainless, I think I might try to get one, at least just for doing small stuff for myself, you know, because it would definitely alleviate dealing with Nashville gas tanks and then Jasper, Indiana, and other stuff.
Boycott air gas.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned the gaps, and really with this thick material, it's not so bad because, you know, you can take your time a little bit more. You're not worried about blowing a hole.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a problem, really. But, you know, there were more gaps than we would like because it's the first shot. Whatever.
Definitely. What did you think, as far as so far, do you have like a favorite piece of this that you've welded?
Yeah, the downpipe, probably.
The downpipe? Take a look at it.
And up there at the Marmon flange is not great, but it's,
I mean,
like, the whole thing looks pretty good.
it looks good.
And we didn't back purge this one,
No.
just the manifold.
Yeah, so I don't know. You
And
can't
three,
really
you know,
tell, but-
3 rings at the top is tough sometimes, you know.
Yeah. The thing that's crazy is like I'm not a pie cuts
But
guy,
it's gotta
but
be
I had
really
to put
tight.
one right there.
I get it.
So much welding if you do pie cuts.
Yeah.
But notice that's not chopped through yet. Still a
that's our
solid hole,
last.
so that's what I got to check now. So we're gonna grab the manifold, fit that thing up on the car, and fit the whole exhaust on the car, I guess. Because really the only parts we'd have to take off is the downpipe again.
Yep.
So we can manage that. Just have to kind of take the engine mount out to get that off, but no big deal.
Little zip deal now.
So we were like test fitting all the aluminum because we also welded all the intercooler pipes too, which isn't quite as extravagant as doing stainless steel, but super nicely well done. And I've got to pull this turbo back off because we were trying to make sure everything was good, and it just looks cool with the turbo in here. But hopefully the manifold puts it right back in this exact location. Okay, get this out of the way. Moment of truth. I think that manifold's got to go in from the top.
Yeah, I think so too.
Bring that thing over here. Let's see if she goes in there. Oh. Dude, I mean, that's some serious weight right there.
Oh.
Schedule 10. I mean, it's like serious. This is heavy right
It's
here.
at least 10.
Yeah.
I got some pretty serious biceps, dude.
Dude, definitely. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. There we go. Dude, like a glove. Nice. I mean, just looking at it from here, it looks like it's in the right spot. Rip your pants.
Just a little bit.
Dang. Dude, I mean, this is serious race car stuff. This is like this is the most legit car I've ever done for sure. The next thing would be to like polish it all, but man, that's just a lot of work. Mega. All right, tighten that down, put the turbo on it.
Ooh, software update tonight. Ooh. Finally.
Nailed it. Oh, dude, it's perfect. That's exactly how I drew it up. Which means it's a little tight to get your hand in here, but you don't have to have a 14mm super cut wrench to put the turbo to flange bolt on. You
Yeah.
can reach it with a socket. That's all I wanted. I was like, I'm not going to
Custom
be in
cut
here with
14.
some custom wrench to put
I have a
these
half
bolts in.
14, dude.
Yeah, to tighten these.
Yeah, I think it was an Audi. I have a half height 10mm hex also for my turbo bolts. I chopped it in the bandsaw.
I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't exactly easy, but this could definitely be way harder to reach. Or like,
Dude, you got to pull the engine to get to them on my car.
yeah,
You can't even see them.
or to like on Richard's car, you have to take the turbo and the manifold off together. You can't take the turbo off the manifold, like it all has to come out as one unit.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Because the turbine flange is so small and it's so close to the
My
intake,
turbo was like that, I think.
you can't reach the inside bolt.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, like this aesthetic right here,
Yeah.
terrible. That,
Yeah, now it's
so
down.
much cooler.
Nah, this is the coolness now.
Yeah, it's like it.
Yeah, 20 years ago it was straight.
Yeah.
Dude, your dad said less versus fewer correctly the other day. You know how many people do that?
Not a
on the
lot of
planet?
people.
Not very many people.
My dad also uses well and good in the proper.
You told me that one. That's a
proper
good one.
thing because
Peggy gets me on one.
Nobody uses well and good, right?
Yep.
Dad?
Yep. That's 2 good ones. 2 good ones that have done well.
See, Cartmill is an English major, so he's going to get you on that. I studied building bridges. He studied teaching you how to use well and good.
I read English literature and sat in a circle and talked about it.
Guys, we're playing with the big boys now. This is proper rotary turbo manifold setup right here.
Looks like you know what you're doing. You sonny baby, make
Alright, I'm taking the engine mount and the frame off. I'm not even gonna mess with it. I spent like an hour trying to put that on the other day.
Yeah, just unseal your oil pan.
Pardon me?
Unseal your oil pan.
I gotta pull the engine out anyways, so it will get redone.
Oh.
The oil pan.
I see.
Because it's leaking.
Nice.
Alright. The moment of truth. Where's the little wastegate pipe? Dead. I knew that was gonna happen.
Dude, somebody welded this intercooler in tank in one pass. Now maybe two.
How did I know that was gonna happen, dude?
What?
It's not even close. It's off by like a 1/4 inch.
Did you break that on accident or on purpose?
On accident.
I was grinding. I mean, did I do too much?
That's okay. I was really bending on it.
Okay.
So to give you all some context, this tube right here, when it connects to the wastegate, so when we welded that wastegate, it moved and it messed up from here where my thumb's at to that V-band right there on the downpipe. So once we refit that section, then we can weld out this little section. We'll pull the downpipe back off. You can also see right here just how close I am to the factory FD engine mount. If you were to be running a setup which would have been like a Nikon or one of those aftermarket engine mounts, there's a little bit more clearance there because the FD engine mount kicks up and those are all flat. So would it work with just about any other engine mount setup? Probably, but with those other engine mounts you need a lower profile oil pan. But I'm pumped. This is an easy fix. Easy fix. And then we can use the rest of the welding gas and we'll be dialed. Need a little more length?
Yeah, dude. There we go.
How's that?
That's perfect.
Think it's gonna move or not?
I mean, I don't know, I'm just gonna tack it on both sides and see what happens.
Okay. Well, that's one way to break the tacks off for the piece I need to weld on. So after 4 days of welding, we cooked 2 big bottles. We finally have to switch to the small one with that much left. I wonder how many inches we welded. Actual inches.
We can get a.
I bet I can make.
Add up those filler rods. It's a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna do the math and I'll put it on the screen. That's a lot of rings.
That's what happens when you run out of argon.
When you run out of gas, it
It's like a 1-inch stick out.
titanium exhaust tips your tungsten.
Oxidation.
Yeah, let's put that on the back. All right, Carmel, I mathed it out. We have welded, or you welded 32 linear feet, dude.
With like 5 starts and stops on each
Yeah,
2 inches, 3 inches.
yeah. That's just that. That's just the stainless steel. Probably another few inches of hangers. We didn't even count the aluminum welding. So you welded 30 feet. You literally welded a line
Look at this.
from one end to the other of my shop, dude.
Look at this right here on the camera.
That's all the rods?
These were all 3-foot sticks. Aluminum and stainless. And there's more.
Oh yeah, we got all the ones over here, right? Because this is half. You break these in half to start, right?
Yeah.
So, that's hilarious.
Yep.
32 feet of welding, dude. That's a lot of welding for a few days. Literally, that's like, imagine you started at one side of my shop. The shop's 30 foot wide, and you just went to floor the whole way. Yeah, dude, flowers are always cool. It's vacation around here. All right, so we just want to kind of take a little look for any pinholes now that we're finished. Good old me and my grinder jumps, you know, I'm a pro at that. Go full CJ race cars, we could tape off all of these with painter's tape so you don't scratch any of it.
for any kind of little craters, pinholes, anything I might have missed. It happens.
The interesting thing that I've learned is like, you see all the crazy colorful stuff and you think that's cool, but the colorful stuff's bad. In order to get like a nuclear worthy weld, it needs to be like perfectly gold with no oxidation.
Perfectly silver.
Silver. Gold's bad. Silver.
Just into the gold is okay, I think.
Oh, like right here. Is this a good example?
Yeah.
So like,
See the start and stops.
so like acceptable there, right? And that gold's unacceptable?
Yeah, and it depends on the test, of course.
Yeah.
Different levels of scrutiny, but they also X-ray them and
Yeah, there.
it gets real crazy. Cut them open.
Sick.
But they don't do that for RX8 exhaust tests.
No, I'm not cutting these open, Carmel. You're safe. This is not a nuclear reactor here. Dude, like that one right there. Dang.
Yeah, and that's one of those slip fit inside corners, so it'll catch the argon a little better.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously it's not perfect. I try to do about 15 dabs at a time there. But
Yeah.
you know, when you're doing this and rotating the pipe, it's just so hard to
Yeah.
make it all look so uniform, you know?
That, and we have a professional grade fixture table right here. It's a wooden table with a vise screwed to it.
Multi-axis vice.
Yeah, it does. It does spin and twist. I don't think it's like a pinhole, but like right here. Would that be like a hole, or is that just a
No.
little, that's just a hollow spot?
That one's a little cold,
okay.
but no, it's not open. It'll be working really fine.
Nice. It's the only variation I can find. It's not just like color or, you know, a little zig to the zag. Everything looks so good, dude.
Yeah, this one looks real good here.
Yeah.
Nice and shiny. Nice clean material.
This is the bottom of the thing too, so.
Yeah,
Inevitably, when nobody looks under my car ever, this is what you'll see.
The squirrel's gonna love it.
Chipmunks. Yeah, I mean, you were saying this is probably one of the most, like, the most welding you've probably done in a row on a project.
Yeah, in like 6 days. This is
Yeah.
the best I've done for sure. We used half of this.
And I bought that new.
We used half a pound. It's half gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, this is our fixture setup, guys. I didn't have a fixture table, so I made one. This is a $64 Harbor Freight vise, wood screwed to a office circle table that kind of likes to fall over if you put a little too much weight on it, and it worked.
And Cartmill's crappy prime welder.
Oh, dude, it's a good welder.
But look, that's what's important here.
The tip?
Yep. You basically gotta have a huge tip for stainless.
Yeah.
Protect all that.
So, and like, the reason for this, I know you explained it to me, but just want to explain it really quick.
Yeah.
Why the wide tip for stainless and a more narrow tip for like aluminum or something like that?
Stainless in particular has a lot of chromium and the other metals that make it shiny. And you basically have to protect them extra carefully from atmosphere air, or the chromium and the other special metals in the stainless cook really easily
Okay.
with that volatile atmosphere air and this
Yep.
plasma. So if it's not protected perfectly by an inert gas, which is argon in this case,
Mhm.
or maybe helium,
Yep.
this conical spread protects the plasma bolt.
Okay.
And so that's critical on stainless and especially titanium, because there's more of those special metals that explode with atmosphere hotness. So
Okay.
on aluminum, it's got its own oxide layer, and it's AC, and it gets blasted back and forth, so it's a little bit different. And I can show you a cut for that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to use a gas lens, and by gas lens it comes whoosh, instead of a collet.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need as much gas coverage, don't need as much gas flow, because the oxide layer is protecting so much of it, and the AC breaks you through and lets you weld it. And
Okay.
it seals up so quickly that it doesn't get destroyed by the atmosphere air. There's no special metals inside the aluminum
Okay.
with it. So it basically seals up and doesn't need as much protection.
Yeah.
So you can use a smaller cup, move quickly, use less gas, stuff like that.
So, could you weld stainless with this?
Yes, and sometimes you're required to, maybe in a situation for like a super tight inside joint,
Yeah.
and maybe if it's around a huge pipe, you could cup walk something like this all the way around the joint.
Okay.
And you can't do that with this.
The big.
You know, this thing would be scratching the.
Yeah.
So that's all the stainless and sensitive stuff has to have a gas lens where you can fit more volume through there, but
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta have a tiny tip.
Yeah. The thing that I thought was interesting is like, you'll see them in some of the clips. If you're welding and welding and welding, then you stop. And the gas stays flowing after he stops the electricity. And that gas is there to let the metal, I guess, like cool down without the oxidation, correct?
Yeah, it's called post flow.
Yeah. And then you'll also notice he'll blip the throttle, and you see a little spark, and that's restarting the post flow.
Yeah.
So when the material gets hotter, you would post flow longer to keep the oxidation from happening?
Yep. And
Okay.
they call it like double tap, but basically as soon as you're done with your thing, you let off, the gas is still going for 10 seconds.
Yep.
But if it's still molten and you got it a little too hot, you can just run the 15 seconds again. And
Yep.
let it sit there and cool off. And, yeah, that's a good explanation.
Yeah.
The
Sweet.
molten has to be protected as well as the lightning bolt while it's happening.
Yeah.
And you can also get an attachment to trail the argon to keep it, you know, like a 6-inch extension. You can go all the way around a pipe like that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see because, like, it's just cool to learn it, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to kind of explain it without watching it all happen from me cutting metal, you know, that's dirty with a chop wheel, and then cutting metal with a saw blade. It's cold cut, right? And then when you weld that, it kind of reacts differently to if you weld over cutting it with a abrasive, you know? So today, like this week, I appreciate it because it was a huge just understanding of
We can
fabrication.
show an example right there.
Yeah, okay. Of
We can
this?
do this side by side real quick.
Yeah.
Just like finished weld.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's perfect.
Finished weld here. So this was cut with
All
a-
abrasive. Yep.
cut abrasive, red hot, and then abrasive gets stuck in the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see,
Kind of down here, right? That blackness
yeah, this darkness that's going through here is,
from the cutoff wheel.
yeah, that's the heat affected zone just from cutting.
Okay.
So that got embedded in here,
Yep.
and basically when we weld it over, it shoots through and gets nasty. It's
Yeah.
just contamination. So a cold cut saw, you know, it
Which
results.
is like these. Yeah.
perfectly
It's way better. Yeah. But stuff like that, like I didn't know that, you know, until he comes up here to explain it. And then like we start doing that and, you know, building a turbo kit like this in order to get top tier level stuff, that's the process to do it versus, you know, I just make stuff with a cutoff wheel and a Sawzall because that's what I have.
Yeah.
You know, so it's cool to learn now to
That's
level
the
up.
way, you know, it doesn't have to be done like that.
Yeah.
You can get it done with a grinder.
Yeah.
Takes
Cool.
a lot of work on the back end.
We're gonna grab this after it cools down, throw it on the car, and put the rest of the exhaust on the car and see the finished product. Gosh dang, dude. Freaking love it. Look at that clearance, Clarence.
Who's Clarence?
You get so much room under here. Yeah, see, it's like, I kind of want to like a little, you know, shimmy it over a little bit. But I think from the outside it looks good. I might just trim this because it's probably gonna melt. Trim that so it's gonna melt. As you can see, my single exit on the racetrack's been wearing this thing out. The old one. So y'all can see, dude, look at that. It's like pretty much all up above the car.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I mean, that's rocker level and you can barely see that muffler. Dang. Dude, look what just hit your head.
Yep.
Look what we made, dude. Shall we lower it down? Show off the intercooled pipes, check out the tip.
Yeah, you showed the, you know, through here section.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Camera, like through the wastegate thing.
Wait, we gotta put the wastegate connector on, but that's no big deal.
And the wheel well. I think that's the cool part where you can see the wastegate.
Yeah, I love it, dude. There's just no other place to put that. Like the wastegate's too tall to be vertical here, down.
Yeah, that's
And then
kind
go,
of a big
you know, if I thought about like putting it so it just dumps straight this way, like at a 90, but it's too close to the ports
Yeah.
to be able to make the merge. If you did two single gates, like small one here, you could run the tubes out that way and bring them around, the recirc tubes, probably.
We'd have to do a 90 if you,
Yeah.
out of this one, it has to do a 90, or a 180 almost.
Yeah, but then your priority's terrible because your wastegate's like, it's close, but it's straight 90 degrees to flow.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
So it's almost a 180 to get back to the downpipe.
yeah.
Yeah. So yours is a easier 180.
Yeah, and I just like to, not that it happens often, where you just run a sheathed, you know, wastegate reference line, but the wastegate top being this far away from everything, I can run my vacuum lines like down and under, and they'll be longer, but they'll be away from all the heat. So,
You could also TIG a little bracket and just a big shield right
Yeah,
here.
I'm gonna make an aluminum plate for
or
it.
a simple TIG square shield that just
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. Well, there's normally like a piece of rubber that hangs through here.
Oh yeah,
That
that's
tab.
right. Yeah, to get to the spark plugs, right?
On the other side,
that's the other
that's
side.
yeah, but yeah,
Oh,
it's the same on this side. You just don't do anything. You
You
just you just don't do anything with it on this side.
yeah.
This card is it still there? Is it there?
No.
Oh, I'd say normally they get
his
ripped
spark
off
plug,
as soon as I take it. Once an RX8 hits my shop, that cover's pretty much gonzo. Dude. Oh, I love it.
All right, let's start it up.
Yeah, right. I wish.
Fire it up.
Normally, I guess people get their cars running first and then build the exhaust. We just, scheduling wise, this is how this had to happen.
Just fucking that.
You busted my plastic?
Sorry, that's the bottom too.
Come on. There we go.
I've never put those things in before, I don't know.
The plastic on the RX8. All right, going up to go down. It's crazy to think, dude, literally a year ago, not even, probably 4 to 6 months ago, this lift wasn't here and this wasn't here. Like, I worked out of the shop for almost a year without the command center or the lift. It was just a big open space. Dude, what do you think I do at the end of every night when I'm done filming? I just take a sit right here and I'm like, look what I made, guys. This is literally rad. Oh, sick. So for a future video, guys, this will be the end of this one. We're gonna do the fuel system. I got a bunch of stuff from Full Function Engineering, Legends, top of the line stuff. So fuel filter, injectors, regulator, pumps, the whole deal. Y'all still know Tuned by Sean, go check it out. Mr. Rad 5 gets you a discount on all the stuff on Tuned by Sean's website, tuning, Haltech stuff. Just go support those who support us. I'd really, really appreciate it. In addition to JDL Manufacturing, you'll see in the next one, Full Function Engineering, JDL Manufacturing helping out on the RX8 with the billet hanger and a really sweet oil filler neck coming for this thing. So everything's ramping up. The welding took a lot longer than we thought, having to do 35 feet of welding. So I'm pretty stoked with how everything's come out, and huge, huge thanks to Carmel over here. And I know you're doing some fabrication stuff, so keep an eye on my Instagram. If he's looking for work, I will share it on my Instagram so y'all can bring some projects to that Nashville area, because he does all, basically what I did here, that's what he does too, including wiring and not just rotaries. So like you got an IS300.
Yep, got a big
Two-
IS300
two
project
JZ,
going right now.
so-
a small Subaru thing and hopefully another big Haltech
Yeah,
project.
all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. But thank you so much for coming up, and
Yeah.
definitely
Fun.
it's an interesting
Some good
one.
stuff going here. Let's fire it up.
I know. Give me like a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
A week of 16-hour days and wiring and all sorts of fun.
I'm gonna hold you to that week.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold myself to that week. All right, thank you all so much. Remember, live a life you don't need a vacation from. Keep it rad. We'll see y'all in the next one. Yeah, I love it, dude. Jeffy, you ready for some food?
He's about to eat his own butt or something. You see that? God.
And Letty is
Brown hand,
passed out over here.
black hand.
Peace, guys.